Hello, my name is Matt Donahue, and this is Morality Tonight. Tonight, I will be discussing and protecting the most vulnerable children and the most vulnerable citizens of the United States, the autistic children. Not only are they children, but they are children who are getting abused physically and behind the scenes by the government. Yes, so people who are already social outcasts because of their neurodevelopment disorder are getting abused. That is very sad, America. We need to fix this pronto. Now, some people would be like, what would Jesus do? Well, that's just dumb to ask in the first place because Jesus would defend any abuse to anyone, no matter if the person was autistic or normal. And many of you do not understand the abuse that occurs on these poor children. Jonathan R. Wilson, a 48-year-old man, sexually abused a 21-year-old autistic girl and was charged with sexual battery. And he did this more than one time, and according to the Petersburg Times. And so he basically raped a 21-year-old autistic girl. That is very wrong. She probably doesn't even know it. Now, Jonathan, what in the world are you thinking? Are you, are you just a creep? Or, because that's my best judgment, you're just a creep. And you are probably also confused, like, right now, like, man, what does this have to do with anything? Yes, I mean, sexual abuse is wrong, but what does this have to do with autism? Because sexual abuse is wrong no matter if the person is normal or autistic. Why don't you just talk about how stupid Donald Trump is, and don't worry, he'll be a huge part of this discussion. The main reason is that autism in kids is rising. From autism spectrum disorders, they ran a study through 8-year-olds from 2002 to 2006 to see how many kids have autism, and the average of 1,000 kids jumped from 6 to 10, and that was 10 years ago. So, I mean, it is rising still, and I mean, 10 out of 1,000 does not sound like a lot, but I mean, it kind of is. I mean, just to think every 10 out of 1,000 kids is autistic is mind-boggling, because there's not, some towns have 1,000 kids. So, I mean, 10 of them are autistic, pretty much. That is what you're saying. So, I mean, just think of it in that perspective. Also, Chris Bateman, the editor of the South African Medical Journal, states that autism is spiraling upward not only in the U.S., but all over the world. Experts believe that exposure to a wide range of toxic chemicals in the environment has much to do with the rise. Now, you're probably like, well, Mr. Bateman, you are full of bologna sausage because chemicals do not have to do anything with autism. And, well, it might not be. There might be more tests to prove Mr. Bateman's theory. Of course, I mean, I'm not really sure. I think autism is just a thing with genetics that occurs, but I mean, it could be anything at this point. But anyways, with the rise of autism, it can also create awareness to help stop global warming. Because if this study is true, then would you want to stop both global warming and autistic children? I mean, like, rise of autistic children? Because I mean, they are people too, but wouldn't you want people to be just like you? I mean, that's my biggest concern. And so now I'm gonna go back to the abuse part, and this one is behind the scenes. But this abuse really outrages me because these kids don't actually know that it's happening to them, and that is the lack of funding by the government. My brother is actually autistic, and he was recently forced to be a half-day student because um, they said his behavior was too out of hand, and we could not handle him in the afternoon. So I feel like that's, BS or bologna sausage, as I like to say on this show. And yes, he did do something wrong. He did attack his teacher, and that is very, very wrong of him. But he he honestly does not know any better. He will never know the true punishment of hurting someone unless they die. But I don't think he could do that. I mean, we keep weapons away from him, and so I just don't see him physically being able to do that. But to take away his education is a crime in itself, because that's all he has to pride himself with, is to go to that school, and you are taking that away from him. And when the government stops or cuts funding, like they do in Illinois, you are taking their ability to learn just because they aren't normal. I mean, they don't want to go to school like we all do. They want to learn like we do. And, well, if they want to go to school, they need the funding. And if you're going to just cut it like that, so if you're basically just going to take away this education from them, that is crime. So now we're going to lead to my discussion with Donald Trump. And yes, I saved the best for last because I am not a fan of Donald Trump and I do not support his ideas. Even I'm not Republican or Democrat, but I do not believe in what he preaches to be making America great again. And one of the reasons is because, according to ComplexChild.com, Trump has no information about his opinions on funding on special needs children and how to fund for them, which basically is telling me, as the average voter, that he does not care. That he is saying, oh, well, I really don't care. That is not important in America. And kind of is, because it is American citizens that he would need to be helping, and he's abusing by neglecting them. And mostly, I bring this up because most candidates, especially the ones that are left, Hillary and Bernie, support funding for these people. And I feel like Donald Trump is too worried about funding a wall to keep, Mexicans out for some reason. I don't know what they did to us. I mean, so you're just going to build the huge wall of America, just, and screw American citizens because they're less fortunate and they're not smart enough. So, yeah, I don't know where they got that. So Trump, please, please consider please, these people do need your care, and as president, if you're going to become president, they would need you to help support them. And if you're just going to push them away like that, then you're not doing your job, and that your number one job is to protect America and its people, and serve as the best, lead with the best interest of them, not for yourself. And while I was actually researching this, my dad was like, "Matt, what are you looking up?" And I was like, "Oh, see Trump's stance on political on special needs funding for his politics part." And my dad's like, "Well, I don't think he knows what the word special needs means. So, yeah, Donald, that is not a good reputation to have if you don't know what that means. I think your vocabulary is very limited because usually you just say huge or something stupid like wall. But I feel like you should really put these children at the top of your priority list. So, if you think Trump is going to be doing big things for America, well, pray to God he doesn't cut the funding for the vulnerable Americans who cannot protect themselves. And please, I suggest not voting for him if you have kids with special needs, not even autism, but just special needs in general, who need this support, because it's not cheap having kids like this. They need to go to special places, and it's not cheap. So we need the government to help us, and Trump isn't the answer with that. Well, good night from Palos, and I hope to see you all next week. This is Matt Donahue from More LA Tonight, signing off. Thank you.